Welcome to this Partner Innovation session. My name is Marco Argaiz and I work in SAP as part of the Global Partner and SME Marketing Group. I am focused in strategic global initiatives and I lead the social selling and digital transformation program for partners. During today's session, I will share with you some social selling basic concepts and best practices that you can apply in your daily job to make sure that you successfully join to the digital trend that today new businesses demand. Acquiring new customers in the digital pace requires new approaches and better understanding of the buyer. We can deny that our business environment has changed and that the buyer's journey is changing as well. Therefore, we also need to change if we want to continue being relevant to our customers that also are facing the same paradigm as we do. The session will last for about 15 minutes, and at the end of the presentation, I will explain you how to join to SAP's social selling program to get full support, training, and all the tools you need at no cost to ensure that you take advantage of this new market opportunity. Right? So get ready and let's get started. I believe that a good way to start our conversation is by making an analysis of the type of customer that we have to face today. The first thing that I would like to do is a simple exercise with you. So please let's think together for a moment on the process that you follow in the past, let's say 5 years ago, 7 years ago, when you wanted to buy a new service or a product. Let's say a new car or a new television. What was the process that you follow? Maybe what you used to do in the past was to go directly to the car dealer of your preferred brand and ask to a salesperson information about the new models of cars available, the technology, prices, etc. Probably after doing that, you went out of the office and asked to a friend what do they think about the product, the service, or the car that you want to buy. All right, so let's do a second part on this exercise. If you want to buy a car today, what would you do? I am sure that your straight answer is going directly to internet and make some research. Probably you will Google the car you want, you will visit some blogs, you will see some videos on YouTube, you will see some social media networks, and you will see what other people is saying about the product or service that you want to buy, about the car that you want to buy, in order to learn more insights about the product and see if the car is exactly what you were expecting and if other people is having good or bad opinion about it. The reason why I did this exercise is because I want you to observe how our new business environment behaves and also how digital technologies, therefore social media networks, affect today's businesses. Based on the simple example that we just did, we have to accept that the role of customer and salespeople have dramatically changed during the last 2 or 3 years. Customers today have many choices, but also they have voice across all the social media networks. We can deny that transformation has occurred in the buyer because today's buyer is digitally driven, is socially connected. Today's buyer is mobile, they have multiple devices, they have their mobile phone, they have their tablet, and therefore customers today are real-time empowered. Millennials, that are the people between ages of 18 to 35 years old, they comprise or they will comprise 75% of the world's workforce by 2025. Today, they are already taking over mid-level management positions at their companies and therefore they are already taking business decisions. They are deciding which kind of products or services they want to buy for their companies. And as you know, millennials are digital natives. They born mobile, they born social, and therefore we need to start using the means and platforms they like to use to get self-educated and also to communicate to each other if we want to continue being relevant to them. All of this means that the buyer process has changed because in the past, the salespeople was probably the only or at least the main source of information about a new good or service. That's why salespeople fully control a big piece of the sales cycle. But today, you can go on the web, you can get self-educated, and therefore customers can keep salespeople away much longer through their buying process. This new behavior has led to 4 major buying changes that we will discuss. The first is that today there are more stakeholders involved in the buying process. What happens is that after decision makers do their research online, rather than engage directly to a sales rep, decision makers are bringing their research internally and discussing the outcomes with peers. So it means that directly and actually indirectly, more people is involved in the buying decision process. The second major change is that buyers are leveraging social media to efficiently tap into their professional networks. What they do is to understand better the products and services they want to buy, and it means that 75% of B2B buyers are using social media and internet to evaluate products, services, but also the brand and the vendor. The third change is that 90% of decision makers say that they never respond anymore to cold calling or to generic emails that has been received into their inboxes. That's pretty simple to understand because maybe I can ask you another question here. How many emails, generic emails, you have received the last month? And out of those emails, how many products you have bought? Maybe your answer is almost zero or close to zero. Well, exactly as it's happening to you, it's happening to our customers. So if we are changing our way to communicate and to buy products, why we should force our customers to do the same as we were doing in the past. So let's change, and the invitation is to take different ways to communicate and to deliver the message to the customers. All of this take us to the fact that definitely we need to work also developing new skills to leverage the social media and the social web. And also we need to learn how to use the tools that will help us to efficiently participate on this new digital approach. This new environment really changed the game. And if you see some studies, you can see that from 57 to 70% of the buying process, it's been done without buyers engaging with sales. It means that the power of peer-to-peer has never absolutely been greater than today. And that's very important because it means that buyers and customers don't trust anymore in brands, they don't trust anymore in the logo, but actually they rely their trust in peers and people that are buying the same products and services that they need. All right, so we have discussed what's happening in the market. Also, we have discussed some ideas and insights about our new customers. Now, let's start some basic concepts about social selling. The first one is probably the definition about what social selling is. There are several definitions about what social selling is, and I would like to share a couple of them with you today. The first is the one that we use in SAP. For SAP, social selling is the use of social media for listening, customer engagement, and collaboration. I definitely believe that this is quite accurate, but let me share a second definition, which is mine. It's exactly the same definition, but only with a little bit more details to explain better to me what social selling is. To me, social selling is using social media networks to be found by customers, to find prospects, do research on the buyer. We want to know better the buying committee and their sphere of influence, and also we want to become relevant and engaging in order to build relationships that will help us to drive revenue, customer lifetime value, and very, very important in social, advocacy. All right, so let's do another simple exercise together. And for that, I'm gonna ask you to go to internet, open a Google page, and basically Google your name. All right, if you Google your name, let me ask you a couple of questions. The first one, when you search for your name on internet, did your profiles, your social profiles appears in the first lines of the search? Second question is, did your picture show up? Last question is, if happens to be that the first lines in the search engine are your social profiles, what it says about you underneath the link of your social profiles. All right, so you can replicate this exercise. You can do it in your mobile phone, or you can do it later after the conversation in your computer. But it's important to do it because at this point, maybe you will have a good question while we will start to discuss social media and social selling. And probably that question is, if we will use our personal social media networks to do business, Then, how important is to have a good social media profile to be successful in that approach? What I can tell you is that it is very important. The best performing salespeople are just present in social networks and they position themselves as credible and influential sources of information because they don't optimize their profiles for the recruiter. Instead, what they do is to optimize their profiles, their social profiles, to the eyes of the customer. This approach led them to be more successful by accessing their buyers and by approaching new prospects and customers, trying to engage in a conversation and create a relationship. Just because you have created a profile in any social media network, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, it means that you have a personal social brand. Probably you don't manage it, probably you don't actively know it, but you have one. Your brand is made up of several different things that people see about you in your social profiles, such as could be your reputation, the kind of work you do, the conversations where you participate, your skills, the connections you have, conversations in where you engage, the pictures you share. I mean, all of that creates a brand perception about you, and you should be conscious about that if you want to manage it and if you want to use it to your own business purposes. Alright, so now let's begin to speak about LinkedIn Sales Navigator and some simple best practices that will help you not only to get started using Navigator, but also to improve and facilitate your social presence and reinforce your social selling strategy. We're focusing on LinkedIn because it is the largest business network in the world, and for that reason, we have acquired in SAP a fair amount of Navigator licenses that actually we are sharing with you. At the end of the session, I will let you know what are the steps you need to follow to enroll into the training and then participate for one license at no cost as part of our partner social selling program. During the training that we deliver in the program, we go more in depth into the different techniques and the practices that will help you to understand how to create pipeline using different social tools and best practices. But today I will share basic and useful recommendations to improve your LinkedIn profile to make you ready to start in the best way your participation into this new digital approach. The goal is to help you reach out a profile ranked by LinkedIn as an all-star profile because it means that your profile accomplished the minimal requirements to successfully engage with customers and prospects in a social selling point of view. We will then start to discuss those 7 simple best practices that you can apply right away to your profile, and we will go through all of them in a very succinct way. The first one is to upload a professional or at least a good picture of yourself. Try to ask help to somebody. Try to avoid doing selfies because we want you to have the best picture you can get. Profiles with pictures that are good are up to 14 times more likely to be viewed than those profiles that don't have a picture or that the picture is not as good. Remember that in social as well as in real life, the first impression counts and counts a lot. Second recommendation is to write a compelling headline. Your headline is your value proposition. Search engines select from your profile your name and keywords that appears into your headline. That's why keywords that are relevant and that represents your line of business or industry are really important to be included into your headline. Your headline also shows up on LinkedIn next to your picture every time that you send to someone an email or an introduction request. When somebody searches your name on search engines, Google, Bing, or whatever, your photo and your headline will appear in it. As you can see, the headline is a fantastic opportunity to engage with people right away by giving them a reason to have a look into your profile based on what they have read into your headline. Your profile URL, it's very important and you should customize it to be successful. This is important because it makes more easy for search engines to find you. And the reason why you have to customize it is because the default URL that platforms as LinkedIn, Twitter, or any other social media creates for you, usually it's compounded by your name along with a random set of numbers, slashes, symbols. And if you keep it like that, it will make hard for search engines to find you and also to read it and remember and to be remembered by you and your customers. You have the option to customize your LinkedIn URL. Try to adjust it to your name as closer as you can get it. And once you have done it, my suggestion is to add it to the bottom of your email signature, because every time that you send an email, your URL is traveling across internet, and that will give you more points into the rank of the search engines as well. Your summary is another thing where you might like to spend some time. Your summary should read like a story about you. Your summary showcases who you are, your knowledge, your skills, your experience, but more important, how all of those things together brings value to your customers. This is not the right place to share how good you are as a professional, because this information itself doesn't deliver any direct value to your customers. What your customers and prospects want to know is what they get from you if they get connected. The recommendation or the best practice says that you should break down your summary at least into 3 to 4 paragraphs, where the first paragraph is about what you bring to the table as part of your experience and how all of those things together bring relevant value to your customers. In simple, we're talking about your background. The second paragraph can highlight what your company brings to the table for a customer in a thought leadership and value added way. Remember to do it always like that, because that is much better than in a product centric or in a direct selling approach. The third paragraph could be something more personal. Some salespeople likes to put in the third paragraph personal hobbies, as it could be running. I mean, if you're a runner or if you like golf, probably you want to mention that in the third paragraph, because itself that is going to start creating empathy with your customers. But only do it if you feel entitled to do it. But very important and mandatory is the last paragraph, which is the call to action. It means, how do you want your customers and future advocates to reach you out? You can let them know to reach you by connecting on LinkedIn or perhaps by phone, or also you can let them know what is your Twitter account, because as much options you give to your customer, more options you will have to be contacted by them. So the call to action is very important, and try to create it constantly to make sure that you have more options with your customers. Your current and past positions should be updated, and that's pretty much self-explanatory. However, the only that I would like to add here is that while you are updating your skills and your past positions, your current and past position, I mean the role that you play in your organization, try to translate what you do into value for your customers. It's totally okay that you are the sales manager or the vice president of sales for the company you work for, but you would like to translate that into value by saying, for example, that you are the vice president of sales and that you are expert matter in the automobile industry, and that probably you have helped your customers to reduce the total cost of ownership by 15%. I'm just making an example, try to give you idea how to translate what you do into value, and by doing that in a simple way, you will give more options to your customers to get the value that you are expecting and that they are expecting from you. Get endorsed and endorse other people. This is very interesting and very simple to do, and it will give you a lot of things back. Get endorsed and endorse other people is a great way to generate advocacy in your network, and actually it's a big source of referrals. If you endorse somebody, it will help you a lot as an icebreaker later in the process when you want to make a contact with this person. Also helps with possible customers as well as it does with possible referrals. Endorsing people is a very, very positive approach to people. All the people like to be endorsed and likes to be approached in this way. And usually people that it's endorsed endorse you back in exchange. And that is good for two reasons, because you are starting a relationship indirectly, but also because every time that you receive an endorsement, your profile is winning more weight and more importance within the social media network where you are participating. All right, so there are more changes that you can apply to your profile in order to improve it and make it more successful. But if you enroll to the SAP's social selling program, you will get more details about all of those best practices in order to have a better profile, but more important, you will be introduced to processes and tools that will help you to create pipeline leveraging your social media. Particularly, we will discuss in the training the social prospecting process, a process that is compounded by 3 simple steps. There are best practices, techniques, there are tools that are associated to each step of the process, and during the training you will be introduced step by step to all of those tools, processes, and suggestions, making sure a better and more programmatic approach while generating pipeline using social media, social prospecting, social selling, and social media networks. In a nutshell, the process is, as you can see on the top. You have to build up a prospect list. The typical tool that we use for that purpose is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Once you have created a prospect list by using some best practices, then you will have to apply listening techniques to understand better what your customer needs and also how to approach them in the more efficient way. Once you have enough information at hand to contact your customers, we will discuss in the third step the best practices in order to communicate better with customers, leveraging the information that you have gotten by listening in the social media, as we explained before. It is a simpler process, and all of that is going to be associated to, as I said before, tools, processes, and best practices that will be introduced to you step by step during all the training that we deliver to you in the program. All right, so how can you register to the program and start using and leveraging all the benefits that I just mentioned? You are welcome to register into the program by taking the social selling training called 5 Steps to Becoming a Social Selling Pro. The training is divided in 2 modules. Those modules can be taken online as a webinar. We deliver the training in all the regions every Monday. Each module lasts about 1 hour. We deliver module 1 one Monday and module 2 the Monday after during all the year. Once you have passed all the training, you will be entitled to participate for 1 LinkedIn Sales Navigator license and 1 Grapevine 6 license at no cost for you. And all of that is based on program rules that you have to get to know as well. The idea is to provide you all the knowledge, all the content, and all the tools you need to start creating pipeline right away after the training. We have people all around the world providing support and help in any inquiry you may have. And also in this presentation, you will receive all the links and all the registration process that you need to know in order to do this enrollment efficiently and simple. Thank you very much for joining this session. I hope you found useful information during the presentation to support your demand generation efforts with the help of social selling. Here you have my social media networks. Feel free to connect and let's keep in touch. Thank you.